Hey guys, this is Mike from Wibuy. This is video 3 in the series on making kombucha from home. And so I've got these 2 jars that have kind of been sitting here for about a week or 3/4 of a week. And you can see what's kind of started happening from pouring out some of that store-bought kombucha. So it started really making its own culture. You've got this kind of solidified jelly right here. What we're actually going to do now is make a batch that we're going to mix with the SCOBY to make the SCOBY ready to actually make a full batch of kombucha. So there's one more step before we actually start making the kombucha. So we've got some different ingredients that we picked up to finish the SCOBY process. And so we're going to use 4 packets of black tea for each one of these. It doesn't matter, like I'm going to use green tea in the batches of kombucha, but we're actually going to pour this solution out once it's made the SCOBY. It's going to be very vinegary, and you don't want to use that first batch that you've made because it's not going to taste very good. So we're just going to use the black tea, and then I've got cane sugar right here, which is going to jumpstart that fermentation process. I've got a measuring cup. This will be for the water and for putting the cane sugar in. And we're going to put everything into this pot. And it's going to need to be cooled down because we've got live cultures in here. It's going to need to go completely to room temperature before any of this solution can be added in here. We're going to want to heat this pot up to where it kills any bacteria. We don't want to introduce anything into these jars right here. The biggest problem, if anything gets infected in these containers in this process, you'll see mold growing on the solution. If you zoom in here, you can see that there's not any mold. This is just part of the. It should look like a jelly, and that's part of the process. It looks kind of strange, but if you start seeing like black or green mold or anything like that growing on it, you really need to dump the whole batch. And you need to sanitize it. And I would use like apple cider vinegar or something like that. Some soap, like really clean those vessels so that you're not reintroducing that infection back into the brew. The first step that we're gonna do is each of these vessels needs 7 cups of water. So I'm just gonna put 14 cups of water in this pot if it fits, or maybe I'll do 7 cups at a time. So let's get started. You wanna use clean water. But this tap water should just work fine. Alright, so we got our 7 cups of water added. That completely fills up the pot. We're going to put a lid on. That's going to speed up that process. And now I'm going to turn this heat up, and we'll get that water boiling. All right, so we poured 1/2 cup of this sugar. I got the unbleached sugar, just pure cane sugar, and I'm gonna pour it in here. I just took it off the boil, so I'm gonna pour it in here, and the water being hot is gonna help mix that really well. But we've got a little while to wait before this cools down all the way, and can be added. We're gonna wait a little bit longer to add the tea. I'm gonna put 4 bags of the tea in with the water and the sugar and stir it around a little bit more to help this dissolve. And you see how dark it is now. So now just cover it with a lid so we keep it as sterile as possible. We don't want it to get infected with anything before it cools down to room temperature and we add it to those vats. So we got the tea out of the refrigerator. I left it overnight to cool. And so I kept the cover on it so that it didn't have any contamination get in. And so I'm just gonna pull these tea bags out real quick. That right there. And we're going to take this down to the batch right here. And so we only brewed one batch worth right now. So let's, we're just going to do this one for today. I'm going to pour this tea in. Alright guys, so I actually had this tea brewing all night. It was taking a long time to cool down to the temperature I needed it. So I did it in this pot. I covered the pot so it didn't get contaminated, and I put it into the fridge. And now I covered it with the cover again, and I'm going to tape it up with the electrical tape. And you can actually see the SCOBY floating on top of the tea brew right there. So you can really see this thin SCOBY. And so this is just going to finish making the SCOBY, and then we're going to pour out any extra liquid. This is not actually the batch of kombucha yet. So we'll make a video when this SCOBY's finished forming, and until then we're just going to keep it covered so that it doesn't have any contamination getting into it.